welcome my two friends and lovely ladies. First, the co-developer for Therapy with a capital T, Hunter K. I love you, babe.
Hello, beautiful.
And second, oh my gosh, this woman knows me as much as my mama knows me. Um, I love you, sis. I miss you. I am so glad that you are on this side of the continent.
Oh, love you too.
Oh my god. uh, the one and only Romielle Gay.
Hello. I
Uh,
like myself.
yes, please. Who are you?
Okay. My name is Romielle Gay. I'm here to talk therapy with you guys today. I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Tennessee State University, and I got my master's degree in forensic psychology from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. So right now I am pursuing my license, the LPCC, and see where that goes. So yeah, I'm ready to talk some therapy.
Come through with the black excellence. I love it.
Yes, when it snaps.
And then just come through with like women striving. Like oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Writing a different narrative. I'm really excited. I'm glad to be a feminist. So, uh, tonight's topic is navigating through our triggers, specifically in a collegiate setting. Now, I got on the phone with Hunter uh, earlier this evening, and Hunter really brought up some really cool topics that she was battling. So Hunter, take it away. What do you got for us?
Okay. I mean, so you know me, Romielle. You haven't met me. Hello. I did not grow up. I did not go to a traditional like college. I went to community college, so I spent a lot of time like on online classes, just showing up for class. Didn't really like get involved with a lot of people, so I didn't have to learn how to like control my triggers when it comes to like interacting with other people. But I am now living in a place, a co-living place, so that there's a lot of people I can't control that are around. So I'm having to now learn and deal with how I interact with them and what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. So in a co-living, like you have a group of people that are like literally ages from 18 to like 35. And little history about me, I suffered with a bunch of drug abuse when I was younger. And being in this situation now, I have to learn where to draw my line and who I'm allowed to be around because other people are going through the drug thing, and just being around that kind of triggers me a little bit and like puts me back into that place where I was a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So it's just kind of figuring out how to deal with that and when to draw the line. But I was talking to Chris about that earlier today. So, I mean, I'm sure other people have different points of view on it. But for me, like, I never had a full on addiction, but I'm definitely really given to easy peer pressure. So I'm having to learn to say no now.
Yeah, and that's tough too. It's not always easy to say no, especially when you got to think about who you're saying no to and the circumstances. So that's
Yeah.
common.
Yeah,
Yeah.
saying no is a hard thing to learn to do, especially like I was also talking to Chris like now in our day and age with social media that like FOMO, the fear of missing out, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like at what point do I draw the line? What point do I say no, or what point do I say all right, I can be around this without having to be like fully involved.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Romy,
Mhm.
what have you gathered in your studies that can help a student or someone living in like a co-living space navigate being triggered as being the person that is left out, or
Mm-hmm.
person that's battling with peer pressure in relation to substance abuse?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, first and foremost, I would say you have to know what your triggers are. You have to be able to identify them. And I say that because that oftentimes you'll run into people who are set off for whatever reason, and you'll ask them, like, what brought you to, behave like that or act like that or react like that? And oftentimes the answer is, I don't know. It just frustrated me, or it just made me mad, or I don't know. I don't know. And so you have to figure out what it is and then figure out when you're most likely to be triggered. Those two, I feel like, are the biggest preventative measures that you can take, because if it can be avoided, then avoid it. Now, understand, in, a college setting, it can be difficult to avoid certain things. So if it can't be avoided and you know that you're going to be triggered, of course, I wouldn't recommend avoiding it. But, there are some more like easily accessible things that you can do, or like immediate, like deep breathing techniques, or counting backwards and forwards to 10, things like that. Or maybe you're in a setting when you're in class and maybe your professor triggers you or your peers trigger you. Like I said, you can do some, immediate coping, mechanisms, counting, deep breathing, or ask to be excused from class, get some alone time. Alone time is actually a big one too. I feel like, maybe you can take some time in between classes to go sit in the room, gather your thoughts, calm yourself down, just be by yourself for a little bit. Maybe go to the caf by yourself, take a walk by yourself. But you have to do something to kind of calm you down and keep you, out of the situations where you feel like you're going to be triggered. And then self-care, I feel like is really, really big. When we don't have adequate, enough sleep or enough food, we're easily agitated and irritable. And so we want to make sure that we're eating enough and sleeping enough, which I know can be hard in college, but they're really important, extremely important. And then, like you said, Hunter, being able to say no to certain things, especially when you're dealing with peer pressure. It's difficult, but it's a skill that is necessary, especially in collegiate settings.
Yeah, like I said, I'm slowly learning how to say no, but sometimes like like I said, the FOMO fear goes in. Like, what am I going to be missing out on? Like, am I going to like ruin friendships over this, or am I going to miss something fun and extravagant that's happening? So it's trying to learn how to balance that. So hopefully in the next few months I'll have it down.
Right. And boundaries too, guys, being able to, figure out what your boundaries are and come up with some ways to set those boundaries. And of course, when you're being peer pressured, and like you said, FOMO, some people might not want to respect those boundaries. And you feel like you're going to miss out on some things. But in those cases, you kind of just have to do what you got to do, bite the bullet. And you got to let some people go when they're not respecting your boundaries. Because at the end of the day, your mental health is more important than all of those things. So.
Totally agree.
I need you to say that one more time, that last bit.
Your mental health is more important.
I don't think the kids in the back heard it. Can
Say it louder.
Mental health is more important.
And child, mentioned something that's really, really spot on for a lot of people. It's how do you identify what your triggers are?
Mm-hmm.
So how would we learn what our triggers are?
You have to kind of look at, cause and effect. So say, something happened and you're set off. You have to look at what happened directly before that. Or is this always happening? What is happening before, I'm constantly being triggered? You have to really dig deep and figure out exactly what the antecedent is the word. Antecedent behavior, consequence.
Antecedent.
Mm-hmm. So you have to know what happened before that behavior. That's how you figure that out. Or maybe sometimes, you might, some people might know you. You know how you say, Chris, like, she knows me just as well as my mom knows me. Maybe asking some friends, like, I'm not sure. What do you think? Like, oh, maybe that is it. Getting the outside kind of opinion, you know.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, always look at that antecedent. Like, for example, I know I have a trigger of when people smack on their food.
Bust
It
them
does.
out.
Right now.
Oh no, not you, Chris.
Literally over here smacking his lips eating.
No, not you, Chris. But yeah, like I know that that's a trigger of mine. You know, like right before I start getting like upset and frustrated, I'm like, oh, that's because they're smacking on their food. So yeah.
Oh.
Chris
Chris, I
immediately
think that
went
means
on
put
mute.
your food down.
That
Chris
sounds like
immediately.
right. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine. Let me get these last bites in.
Chris immediately went on mute after that.
Not Chris.
I did. I really did, though.
That's fantastic.
Okay. Let's go to a song, and then we'll come right back after these short messages. Fred, you got something for us, or should I take it away?
Take it away.
Love it. There are many different types of anxiety. I know there's social anxiety, and then there's common anxiety or regular anxiety. What's the difference, Romy?
It depends on how you're using it. Social anxiety is it's kind of specific to social settings. And it's kind of more intense than your typical anxiety. I mean, anxiety is anxiety, but social is a little more specific. When we're talking about regular anxiety or general anxiety, we can generalize that to any area. So if we're talking about in a collegiate setting, we can talk about general anxiety. Social anxiety might be like in big crowds, at concerts, at big, where there's a lot of people. So I guess we can maybe break down general anxiety.
Yeah, so something that I personally battle with is imposter syndrome. I'll like being at CalArts. Even before I applied, I was surrounded by musicians, much like Escapist, that are true musicians and in the true like sense of the word, live, breathe, eat shit like music.
Let me stop you right there. You are a true musician. I have listened to you, so stop talking down to yourself.
Thank you. So imposter syndrome and how I feel like it connects with me, or I have some degree of it, is because I feel like I sometimes feel like I'm in a room and I've gotten there out of luck and not because I'm actually deserving. How can students that feel similar uh, navigate through feeling this inadequacy?
Mm, I mean, having someone to talk to is really big when you're dealing with that kind of anxiety. Anxiety is really hard to deal with alone, especially when you're having those kind of thoughts. And that's when Hunter said, don't talk down on yourself. You are a true musician. Having someone in your ear like that and someone to support you and kind of confirm that you're gonna be okay, everything is okay, is awesome to have. So having somebody to talk to, having somebody in your corner. And then like I mentioned earlier, doing things like making sure you eat right, making sure that you're being proactive in those ways before you get to those situations, so you're not doing things to increase your anxiety in those situations. You know what I mean? Yeah, I would say stuff like that.
what are other forms of anxiety that like, college students are dealing with nowadays? There's
Like,
tests.
mm-hmm. I wouldn't call those forms of anxiety. I would say that you usually get anxiety surrounding things like that. So you might get anxiety if you have a presentation. You might get anxiety if you have a test, or, anything that kind of makes you nervous in those ways. But taking deep breaths, being proactive, making sure you get enough sleep, making sure you get enough eat, making sure you're getting those talks. You have somebody to talk to. And making sure you're prepared if you do have a presentation or you do have a test. Being prepared kind of decreases that anxiety. You know that you're ready, you're just a little nervous, so it helps you kind of shake it off. But yeah, and acceptance, like you have to accept the fact that you can't control every situation. You have to accept the fact that you might not pass every test, and you might not breeze through every presentation, but you got through it. You'll get through it. So
What are some when you go through a master's program, you're going through case studies, right?
kind of, yeah, it's a part of it.
Have you studied something or seen something that can relate to a college student?
What do you mean by that?
Like specifically a case study, something. I don't know. I don't know. Unfortunately, I wish I did.
Typically, if I do see a case study, it's more related to a disorder of some sort. So if I have seen something about college students, it might be, I don't know, maybe if you have a student that's drinking a little too much coffee and it comes off as, anxiety, but really they just have the jitters from being up super late and doing papers all night and drinking a bunch of coffee, so.
No more espresso shots.
So I'm a music student here, and I have to record my vocals, and I noticed that my voice is a little bit raspier than normal, and I'm not hitting like the high notes, and I don't have access to my upper register, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like it's so I looked up and I'm like, what coffee does to the vocal cords? So I'm like, okay, what is the biggest change in my behavior? Also, tip: be self-reflective. Like I'm not the MA here, but definitely be self-reflective. If you see a strength that you once had lacking and starting to slip, then be self-reflective and introspective in the way where you're analyzing what has changed about your behavior. And behavior isn't just an attitude. Behavior is a system of doing. So I noticed that I was drinking a lot of coffee, a lot of coffee. So I Googled what coffee does to the vocal cords, and it dehydrates your vocal cords severely. When I tell you I stopped drinking coffee, I took the mug that I had, took it downstairs, poured that shit out. I feel you. I feel you. That was kind of a tangent, but like connected.
I actually feel that a good thing that could be addressed is self-awareness, and because we're talking like triggers and all that, like all this stuff is something we want to be aware of ourselves and how we are reacting to things outside of ourselves and how other things outside are reacting to us. But as someone who has been thinking about that a lot for the past couple of years, I am trying to figure out like how much is enough, or how much is the amount of self-awareness you want to have, and how is there a too much, and obviously there is a too little, but you know I, how does self-awareness come into this?
Honestly, I feel like self-awareness is one of those just continuing things as we go through life and we grow and we change and we meet new people and encounter new situations. Like there's always going to be something new that you can learn about yourself. And so I think that that's something people should strive to, do, is like a lifelong thing. I don't think that should ever stop. Now, definitely too little, because you do have some people that are kind of like, no, I am the way I am. I'm fine. It's good. But no, when you're talking about mental health and you're talking about growing and changing and just leveling up, you have to be aware of self at all times. So,
Yeah.
yeah, never.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of self awareness, though, like how much self awareness will start to get in the way of you kind of, like you said, um, accepting the way things are and kind of going with the flow more rather than over analyzing yourself or analyzing other people when you're, going into situations um, that may trigger you or situations, new situations for the first time, like you do when you get into college.
Hmm. How much would it start to get in the way? Hmm. I'm not sure that self-awareness could really get too much in the way of anything like that. If anything, I feel like being self-aware is going to protect you in those new, situations. When you do get in situations where you're not familiar, or there's peer pressure, or there's whatever, being aware of your limits, being aware of your boundaries, and how far you know that you can go or are willing to go will always keep you protected in those situations and covered, I feel like.
Chris is trying not to chew with the mic.
Trying not to smack his lips.
Oh, that's what
I mean, yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. But at the same time, I am I guess I would feel like I would suffer from being overprotective in some ways of your own, because if you're overprotective of your own emotions and of your own like you're basically like protecting your experience and trying to kind of not control necessary, but kind of like frame it in a certain way so that you don't get triggered by something or you don't get hurt by something, where like maybe getting hurt or in other words, like feeling those emotions or letting yourself feeling those emotions might have been a better option for you in the long-term future rather than in the immediate future.
Yeah, I think it's all about practicing the control of those emotions. And of course, that's easier said than done. There's so many steps that you have to take and so many things that you have to do to kind of get in touch with that and know when it's appropriate to react this way and when it's not, or whatever the case may be. But having control over your emotions is extremely important. Control.
Chris, you got any thoughts on that?
How does one build control? Because okay, let's talk about anxiety. So I am getting over being super duper gung ho for this guy I met in Santa Monica College, and though he was extremely beneficial to like my current growth, it was a situation of unrequited love. And now, like, I moved on and blah, blah, blah. But what really triggered me to be self aware is we were supposed to go to the beach. Hunter, you know this. And if listeners, if you
Get
follow
over this boy.
on YouTube, I am over him. I really am. YouTubers, listeners, if you follow me on YouTube, then you've already seen the video of me explaining this story. But I jumped on a train and went all the way up to Seattle on Amtrak.
Oh.
literally ran away from dealing.
Yes, I remember.
And when I got to the mountain, I realized this rejection, this one person is making me so impulsive and is disturbing my peace. He's gone from being like a friend, and I've gone from asking so much of him that he's not able to or not willing to give, that this desire has now stolen my peace.
Mhm.
I realized that, okay, this is not safe. This is not good. Like I need anything that takes your peace is a no-no.
Mhm.
And I ripped it off like a band-aid as soon as I got back. How can we become more self-aware, or how can we become more of a master of ourselves?
In the sense that you don't let other people kind of intrude on your peace. And
a person, a thing, a song. You know how songs can trigger us. That's why Neo wrote So Sick.
See, a lot of times with situations like that, your response is deep rooted. You have to go, and I'm like I have what they call a psychodynamic perspective, which focuses heavily on childhood and past experiences. And when you have situations like that where there's some attachment, issues going on there, or abandonment issues going on there, you have to really look back in the past and see, like, why am I having issues with attachment? Why do I, want to abandon others before they abandon me, or things like that. Like, you really have to get to the root of the issue. And so, of course, that's why they always recommend therapy. Therapists are there to kind of walk you through, your past and get you to figure out what it is that's got you acting the way that you act and why you are the way that you are. So,
yeah. Shout out to childhood trauma.
Yeah. Also, shout out to the Center for Wellness at CalArts. If you are a CalArts student and you are listening to us right now, we have 14 free sessions to book with the Center for Wellness. Spend that time and talk to those certified and licensed counselors that are ready and willing and eager to help you navigate not only through your academics but through you. Therapy is
beautiful. 14
sessions per semester.
Wow.
Can I get it? Anyway,
beautiful.
I think this is a great time for a song. Peeps, did y'all know that I love y'all? Did y'all
love you?
That y'all are just like so beautiful.
Throwing that right back at you.
Oh my god, stop it. Stop. Okay, so in the spirit,
put that mask on.
It's I know we are recording this video, huh?
Oh, we're recording? Nobody told me that.
Oh yeah, we're still recording.
Oh, my hair is so fuzzy today.
All of these videos will be posted on a soon to be Best Life YouTube.
That'll be good. My mom is really mad she can't listen to these because, it's the middle of the fucking night back in Indiana right now.
Oh.
So, here's Lonely by Danny Rivera in the spirit of anxiety.
I don't wanna be alone all night.
The Taoist. Okay, there's a Taoist philosophy um on loneliness. It's when you have a deeper sense of self, you're less likely to be alone. We're alone because there's something about us that we're not accepting. It's we're in need. We become in need of another person's presence or another person's like gratification uh,
Hmm.
or validation because there are things or thoughts or feelings or emotions that we experience when we're alone that we don't like experiencing or we don't like acknowledging or we don't like working through. So when you become really able and almost um, a fanatic about like working through yourself and not being afraid to to have some really uncomfortable shit pop into your mind and then like challenge those thoughts and realize that they are just like thoughts are like the wind, here and gone. What about you all? What do you think of loneliness?
What do I think of loneliness? I kind of agree with what you said in the beginning about how if you're pretty much secure in what you've got going on within yourself, then you don't really need the company or the attention or the whatever of other people. But I also feel like that's important. You know what I mean? Human contact and being surrounded by people and love and whatever. I feel like that's important.
I mean, of course, like you're not gonna stay like alone, but when you are alone, to we can create a better habit of really enjoying our alone time.
Hmm. I guess it depends on the person. It depends on what your mind state is in that moment. For someone like you said who is secure and whatever, they being alone might feel like it might feel great, might feel like heaven. Somebody who is really stressed out or maybe even depressed or whatever the case may be, being lonely might feel like the end of the world. So I guess it's subjective.
I mean, let's just say I miss being lonely at this point, being in co-living. I have 5 roommates. Currently, they are all watching me record this right now, so there's constantly somebody around.
Hi.
We've got Mother Jessica, Michaela, the other Jessica, Julie, Michelle, all in the room.
Oh, that's so. Y'all know Chris thinking about y'all.
So yes, we have a live audience tonight,
Live
guys.
audience. No, that's what I'm talking about.
Can we get an applause from the live audience really quick?
Probably
Can we
not
get
gonna
an
be good.
applause from the live audience?
Yeah.
Julie stood up for like a standing ovation.
Odd.
Or just like all those late night shows with their staff and their people being the audience and doing all the laughing and clapping.
I'm gonna have to get signs to hold up like clap,
Yeah.
woo, laugh.
Doing aw.
Yeah, give us a nice oh, so sad.
Actually, can we do that? Can we ask all of them to give us a nice aw?
All right, guys, we need some assistance from the audience. Give us a nice oh.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh my gosh! See, we can't script.
Mother Jessica said she needs to get paid for this.
Well,
I'll have the accountant send you a check in the next.
Wait, where's my check?
Also in the next 20 years.
Okay. So expect that by the time I'm 50.
I gotta pay tuition once. Let me get through paying tuition, and then I got.
Hold on. Didn't you get a scholarship though?
I gotta put my business out there.
I'm just saying.